Good evening. Welcome to the Spiritual But Not Religious Show. I'm your host, George Lewis. I have got a fantastic show lined up for you tonight. But before I tell you about that, let me tell you a little about the Spiritual Broadcasting Network and about my show. Uh, the Spiritual Broadcasting Network came into being for one purpose, and that was to bring you the many varied voices of our spiritual but not religious community. That community has grown in huge numbers recently. I mean, not recently, over the last few years. And what we have are people who believe in a higher power and a God by any number of definitions, but really don't have a community that they go to, like a church or no real gathering place. And as a consequence, we really don't have a voice. And so, in some parts of the country, there just aren't any of us there at all. It's just pockets of people that what we believe and the varied things we believe just aren't available. So we want to be able to bring your voice into that community. Now, spiritual but not religious show really was the originating idea of all of this, or at least in the early stages. And it was intended to do exactly the same thing, bring the varied voices of our spiritual community. Tonight, before I talk about tonight's guest, let me just give you a little hint about next week's guest. You'll definitely want to tune in. My guest for next week lives down here on the East Coast, over in the Miami area. She's living large on the water, steps from the beach. Her name is Cynthia Faye Siegel, and she is an exceptional psychic. And I've talked with a lot of psychics, but Cynthia has just so many different capabilities, ways that she does it. She can get in touch with your pet, find out what's going on with your pet. She got some really interesting stories of what's happened there. Tune in. We'll be get into our chat room or give us a call, and we'll get you get you a reading, a little free mini reading, and you'll have a really good time. She's just a wonderful, lively personality. Tonight I've got actually two different guests, both artists and superb artists. My first guest is Missmagikal McGirr from London, England. She's up at 2 o'clock in the morning there in order to be able to participate in our show. And our second guest, and somewhere around the midpoint of the show, depends on our timing with our first guest, I have Cynthia Lucas. Cynthia and Cal Kern have produced a PBS documentary called Rumi Returning: The Triumph of Divine Passion. And I haven't seen the whole documentary. I've seen parts of it. Really well done. It's just been viewed all over the world and on many different venues. And you're going to enjoy talking with Cynthia about the production and about Rumi. Rumi was, for those of you who aren't aware of Rumi, was a Sufi poet. And so Sufism is going to be our topic tonight. And we're going to talk about, why Sufism and why Rumi and really his contribution to the world. Actually, Rumi is the #1 poet in the United States since 9/11. And we're talking about a Middle Eastern poet who hailed from Baghdad back centuries ago. And it's a pretty interesting story all the way around. So stay tuned. We're going to get Missmagikal on here shortly. She's really well known for her songs of love, light, and spirituality. She's a musician. We're going to get her on, and then I'm going to have her sing a song for you. Now, we haven't used Skype for music, so we're not sure just how well it's going to come across for you, the audience. However, Tom is going to give you in the chat room a link where you can actually go. She has a whole album up that she's offered for at no charge. You can listen to the songs online. You can download them, put them in your iPod, do whatever you like. And I'll tell you what, she's got a magical voice and a great personality. You're going to totally enjoy our conversation with her. Tommy, we have Magical on the line.
She's on the line.
Magical, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let me just. I'm going to work a little bit with the sound. You're coming in really, really good. So there's a little tinniness there I wanted to get out. So how are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you, George.
No, it looks like you're all set up and ready to give us a song. I think the best thing tonight is if you'll sing. I think you have a song that's brand new about fear, and what a great way to start our show. So anytime you're ready, just sing for us.
Yes, I will. I'd like to say that this song was written as an antidote to fear. I was feeling some fear a couple of weeks ago, and quite often when something inspires me in that way, I write a song, and it generally comes from source. So I'm very blessed, and I love delivering these messages. So I'll sing it now.
I don't believe what I hear. I only believe what I know. Don't give me conspiracy theories, they've got to go. And I don't believe what I hear. I only believe what I see. Don't give me your doom and gloom series, it's not for me. I have no fear. Nothing to fear no more. We've got nothing to fear. We got nothing to fear no more. No fear, no fear. We got nothing to fear. No fear, no fear. There is nothing to fear. If it doesn't please me to know, it's not gonna be in my show. I don't bury my head in the sand. I make castles of creation. It's elevation, our creation. I don't have no fear. If it doesn't please me to know, it's not gonna be in my show. I don't bury my head in the sand. I make castles of creation. It's elevation, my creation. We don't have no fear. Our creation. No fear, no fear. No fear, no fear no more. No fear, no fear. No fear, no fear. We got nothing to fear. So I don't believe what I hear. I only believe what I know. Don't give me conspiracy theories, they've got to go. And I don't believe what I hear. I only believe what I see. Don't give me your doom and gloom series, they're not for me. No fear. We've got nothing to fear no more. We've got nothing to fear. We've got nothing to fear no more.
Great job, great job. I'll give you a minute to get your headset back on there.
Hi, George.
That's superb. That's great. I have a hunch it didn't come out quite that well over the Skype, but I think they got an idea. It's a great song. I'll tell you what, we're really appreciative of your being up this time of the day. Miss Magical comes to us from London, England, and so the timing there is a little bit different. I'll tell you what, Magical, we had a guest from London who was kind of put out by being up that late, a bit grumpy sometimes, wasn't he? Little grumpy.
A bit grumpy.
So it's a really pleasure to have you, who's a musician, a little bit used to staying up a little bit later. So it works out pretty well.
Yeah, I'm happy.
So I've got a lot of questions I want to ask you because after listening to your work, see the kind of things you're doing, and you have a whole album called The Way Shower. It's a collection of healing songs that you have made available. Tom, you're putting the
It's all going up right now.
he's putting the link to that in the chat room, so you could go up. You can get her whole album for free, and I promise you, it's well worth listening to. I went and I've listened to all of them. Matter of fact, I have it on my hard drive now. What has made you? You're a talented lady. What has made you or brought you to singing these spiritual songs, these healing songs? There's got to be quite a story to that.
Well, I've been doing it a long time. 20 years nearly.
Really?
Originally, when the songs first started to come through, I found it difficult and.
Well, when you say come, let me interrupt you just for a second, if you don't mind. When you say "come through," are you channeling?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Lyric-wise, I am
Yes.
channeling. Yes. I didn't know that back then, and I found sometimes the songs difficult to present because my songs are what I call in your face, and people didn't always want to hear. So,
Sure.
like, let the healing begin 15 years ago or so. But now they do.
Yeah, 20 years ago, things were a lot different from what they are now.
Yes. Maybe not quite long. Maybe 17, 18 years ago, if I'm going to be more specific.
Right.
The healing songs, about 93. Yeah. And I'm very blessed now, and I understand that flow now, and so I accept that more easily. It's part of what I do. And I enjoy it immensely. And when I'm in that space, I'm either channeling or I've been writing the lyrics for a song, or I'm just singing those songs in any way. Then I'm in a kind of meditative way, and pretty much the only way that I've been able to meditate up till now.
Before I ask you another question here, I want to let our audience know that you're going to see Missmagikal live and on our air in the little picture-in-picture. However, the technology doesn't allow for her to be in the archived version. All you're going to get on the archive show, if you come back, will be her voice and my face. So we're glad you're here watching live. So I get the idea that are you a psychic or an intuitive? How does all that play for you?
Well, I don't really see myself as a psychic.
Right.
Although I have had some quite mystical experiences.
Uh-huh.
But I just think we all have that connection to source, and I found that through music, and other people find it through their art.
Sure.
Sometimes just smiling at somebody who accepts your smile or for me, all that comes from source. And so if you're coming from your heart space, whatever you do, then you're in that channel. That's the way I see it.
So, do you have some kind of a primary purpose for the work you do, or is it this you're just led and you enjoy what you're? I'm sure you must enjoy what you're doing because it kind of comes through in your songs, at least the ones I listen to.
Yes, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. The purpose is to raise the vibration,
right,
as we go along, and it's becoming more clear to me and to others, and probably to yourself, that as we move along this path, this experience, that we are starting to co-create our reality and the timelines that we're choosing. And as we start to create new media, as you're doing, as I'm trying to do, and we're networking with others, and I'm a member of the Gold Ring of Enlightenment and Abundance, which was pretty much started by Lysa.
Uh-huh.
And I consider the Gold Ring to be a circle of others that I can work the light with. if you understand that we're weaving that light to bring a more positive future for ourselves and for our children, our grandchildren. I'm certainly a grandmother myself, and
Well, I totally understand the need for changing our vibration. I believe that our thinking, what we believe, sets a frequency pattern in us, in all of us. And like if you see all the stuff that's going on in the world, we certainly need to change our frequency pattern. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about BP Oil and what's going on over here with them. Are you familiar with the oil spill here?
well, I'm only familiar in terms of I know it's going on, but in like that song says, I don't bury my head in the sand. I do understand that there's stuff going on, but I feel that the more we pay attention to these things that are playing out, and I know it's very serious. For me, Gaia is bleeding. It feels bad. But what I try not to do is get caught up in the negativity of that causes drama and fear. Because fear is our I hate to say enemy, but really fear is the dark side for me.
Well, it sure is. It certainly, yeah.
And it stops us creating that which we do want to create and we do want to see on this planet. So what I tend to do is, I know it's going on, I send my love, I send my heart, I do magic, I'll do ceremony with anybody who wants to do that. And we had Unity Wave recently, I don't know if you heard about that, where many, many groups came together and we did meditation and intentional ceremony and all gave it our energy.
Well, one of the most difficult things for us, because of our training and our just everything that the baggage that we carry, is to take an event like this oil spill, and instead of sending the fear and the drama and the bad stuff, to be able to think about it in terms of love and in terms of like bringing change. And the only way we're going to be able to really bring that change about is not to get resentful, because that just adds to the pile. And like you were saying, not to feed into all of that drama. So I'm totally on the same page with you there. It's not always easy, though, is it?
No, it's not always easy. And I think that's where that last song came from, because I was feeling a tremendous amount of fear. I'd been listening to many, many speakers and who I would call way showers and light workers that,
right.
Have lots of theories. And mainly we all agree on most things. And we all want the same thing. And some of these people that I've been hearing are incredibly articulate, and they, amazing, and have much wisdom.
Uh-huh.
But I just found some of the more doomy elements, the more doomy timelines. And I think we're walking a dance. We can step that way, or we can step that way. Now, which way do we want to step? And we can do that individually, but if we do that collectively, we are very powerful, because we are the one being.
Absolutely.
And when we come together, things will work as we want that.
When you go back in history, Missmagikal, and what you see is any real big shifts in humanity, it was groups of people like you and I, just grassroots kind of groups, that really brought those big changes about. The French Revolution was one of them. Unfortunately, it was a bloody thing, but it certainly brought some huge changes about. So we know that we have that power. Let's talk a little bit about fifth dimensional frequencies. I know you're pretty involved with that, and in some way there's music plays a huge role in all of this. You want to give us your idea on all of that?
Well, for me, music's a language very much.
Yes.
And it's a language that speaks to us on a level that is hard to describe. You could call it fifth dimensional, but it actually resonates within us. It moves us. It moves our cells. It recodes our DNA. And for me, that's magic, because it's about the intention behind it. With magic, you make an intention, you can ritualize that in some way, a song, or you can light a candle, or you can all get together and hold hands and say, it is so. And music speaks to everybody. It's universal, not just international. And I've been blessed enough in my day work that I do to work with adults with disability and all kinds of barriers that need extra consideration to facilitate that being able to play music. And it's interesting that people that are non-verbal express themselves in music. If you play a drum,
right,
you're resonating. Like drums, like a language. When two people play drums together, I say this, you say that, and it works beautifully. So I've come to understand how music affects people, and also I've learned much from other people, not just musicians, but I was very blessed to have met Magenta Pixie, who's another beautiful way show, and she's a channel. And she introduced me to her YouTube subscribers as a DNA activation tool, which was pretty amazing for me because I wasn't expecting that. When I thought about it, actually that is what music does. That's what art does when you see art that's come from that place. That's the way that person has brought the heaven's light through and to share with everybody. I hope that's a reasonable explanation.
Yeah, well, absolutely it is. So, when we talk about doom and gloom, there's one, and 100 different theories going on out there. What's your take on 2012? Because it certainly has its share of doom and gloom going on. What do you think is really going to go on in 2012, and maybe even what's going on now?
Well, yeah, that is obviously the $64,000 million question, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But, I mean, for me, I'm in a place right now where I believe that we will create that timeline of our choosing. And we can either all go and watch 2012, the disaster movie, which I absolutely refuse to watch. We can go and watch it 10 times and go, oh, special effects is great, and maybe it's scary. I used to love disaster movies.
Right.
Back in the day. But now I realise that I'm bringing that in as a fourth dimensional energy into my reality. And that's not a good idea. I don't want to see all that falling apart in front of my eyes and all the pain and suffering of that. So let's all go and watch Avatar 10 times and see how we're all connected to this planet in the way that genius man has presented to us.
Absolute genius.
What we choose, our choices. What are we going to choose? We choose love, or do we choose fear?
Well, so far we've been choosing fear, and hopefully 2012 is kind of a flip from the fear to the love part of that, hopefully.
Well, I think that we are choosing love now, and
yes.
many people, and people waking up en masse. We're all waking up together, and as all the groups now are coming together and putting their individual missions aside, understanding that we all want the same thing, we're going to see this incredible surge, and everyone's getting organised, and we're creating. You're creating this, George. You and Tom are creating this wonderful alternative media.
Lots of things going on.
We've got to take action.
Lots of things.
Action.
You know what? Unfortunately, I can't believe it's already. Our time is kind of. If I'm going to have you sing a song, our time is kind of ran out already. At some point we'll have to have you back. And what you're talking about is so important to understand the diversity that we bring to the table. And what you said, I think, was so important. Is although we're saying it in different ways, we're really saying the same thing. It's time to stop all this old stuff. It doesn't work anymore, and we're just going to destroy ourselves if we don't stop. And maybe that's the message in the 2012 part of it. But how about doing this? How about taking us out with a song? And I thank you so much for coming on tonight. You've been a joy to talk to, and I know it's late there, so I do appreciate your staying up too.
Thank you, George, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, and you have a great week.
I will.
What you gonna call it? What you gonna call it? What you gonna call it? Krishna, Buddha. Krishna, Buddha. Don't matter what you call it, long as you can feel it. Don't matter what you call it, long as we're all part of it. Conversations, conversations, conversations with God. Call it inspiration, Great Spirit salvation, the law of love in the name of humanity, collective realization, a massive congregation. The time is now, be the best that we can be. Conversations, conversations, conversations with God. Pick up divinity with maximum priority. This is our party, and it rocks with you and me. Think right, no diversity. Be light, elevate the sight we want to see. The wish is planetary. Conversations, conversations, conversations with God. Conversations, conversations, conversations with God. Allah, Krishna, Buddha, God. What you gonna call it? 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 What you gonna call it?